I saw a car and it looked like the shell of a fighting machine. Snake-like tentacles writhed as the clumsy body heaved and pulsated. I don't know why, dude. I'm struggling, guys and girls. My dudes, I'm struggling. I'm very tormented. At least I can relax a little bit and look at the scene of nature. Mostly without humans and human fuckery, although everything here is shaped by humans. But still, they shaped it and then they leave it alone, and then every now and then they come back and they change something and then they leave it alone for a bit. So that's the countryside for you. It's a fair bit more detached from what the humans and the cities and the politicians and stuff are doing. Because there's so much of it, there's miles of it, too much for them to change in one go. So they just take little bites of it every now and then. The political world, the world news kind of world is absolutely bonkers, insane, crazy, authoritarian as fuck. People in general are just irrational. The systems they've set up block, I'm sure they block many other humans from doing stuff, but in particular I feel that their systems block me from doing stuff, living life how I want to, living life even normally how I used to, or even surviving into the future. The psychology of humans has done this. The insanity. I kind of think our human race doesn't deserve to live on in many ways. Then again, I'm not a humanist, so I see humans outside of it as if I'm not one of them, basically. Like I'm some kind of alien. That's kind of what my Acoustic Blackout book is partly about. You know, the main character is a human, and then she gets partially raised by a bunch of aliens who come along, and then she rules the humans for a while from the perspective of not one of them. She can't understand them, yet she is one. And that's kind of me, basically, in the real world. I can't understand them, I can't relate to them, I don't think they make sense. I don't think what they're doing is right or just, and yet apparently I'm one of them. And I'm like, they don't communicate normally. I don't understand the way they communicate, but they're probably like, I don't communicate normally, or something. They're gonna call me autistic or some shit like that. Call me pedantic, that happens a lot. But I don't believe in the whole pedantic, pedantry thing. I think that's just normal communication. There are like whole worlds of things to focus on in every sentence, in every line, in every word, in every short thing. There are masses of things to be analysed and interpreted and got right. And I've trawled through life to try and find the simplest belief system, the simplest way of living, the way that just lets me be and lets me continue on life in the simple way, like I knew when I was a kid, and yeah, landed on the, the libertarian and anarchist thing. But I've seen them like other, I mean, we've got a big lino problem anyway, libertarians in name only, but I've seen some of the bigger libertarians and anarchists like fighting over, like they want to reform the meaning of the words. Like they take a tenet of libertarianism, like property, and I've heard them like starting to debate that, like they want to reform it and include things like words and speech and thoughts. It's like, what is going on here? They're not taking what they have and going forward with it. They're becoming like leftists and like trying to unpack and recreate all the meanings of the words that we're using as tools, instead of just using what we have already as the tools. I don't know, it's a bit of a fucking mess out there right now. And I want to get us back, at least, like, I want to get us back to my childhood, or at least the way I thought things were going to work. Like, because you grow up in the 80s and 90s, and you're like taught the world works a certain way. You spend all this time learning about how the world works, and like, okay, I'm finally getting to grips with it. Okay, I'm 75% done, I'm 80% done, I'm 90% done figuring out the basics of how the world works. As a kid, going through teenage years up to early adulthood, then you reach like early adulthood, and then the fucking rug gets pulled out from under you because suddenly the entire world changes, and the world that you were learning about, trying to figure out how it works, what it is, what it does, how things work, suddenly that doesn't exist anymore. And oh, new world starts now. Everything's different, the entire rules are different, the entire fucking planet's different, social engagements are different, like everything, and you don't know what anything is, and you've only just got to the point where you've finished learning what the world that you were in and raised in as a kid through teenage years to early adult was, and how to deal with it. And then you're almost ready to deal with it, and then you've got to start again from zero, where you don't know how anything in the world works again, like as an early adult, because they just fucking fucked up the world. They're like the left and the politicians, and now the right, they just completely messed up the fucking world to the point where it's unrecognizable completely, and you don't know what you're dealing with. And why would you bother like learning, doing all that again a second time, like learning up from scratch from zero all the way to 99%? How the new second world works when you're already prepared to deal with the first world, the real world, the world you grew up in that you didn't even think was gonna like completely change. So like, I'm built to live in the world of like 2003, or you could say like year 2000, and everything that came before that. And I'm not at all built to live in the world of like everything's been destroyed by feminists and governments post 2020 bullshit. Like, I'm very begrudged towards re-equipping myself and doing that whole thing again, because what would be the point in doing it a second time if you know the world can just like change in an instant? Like, the entire world could change again when you reach like 90% understanding of it again, because it's happened once before. So will we ever get to the part where we reach that 99% and we actually start living life and dealing with it and knowing what to do with it? Or will it just be a series of eternal resets just when you think you're getting close, to the point where all of your effort is just wasted, pointless, and you might as well just give up? I think it's better just for me to stay equipped for the first world and then focus my energies in attacking anything that tries to advance it, or as the leftists say, progress it to something different. Because, you know, fuck that. We already had the world, we were already ready for it, it was established, it was easy to learn once you got enough years in. And you're gonna change the entire setup for what? So yeah, I'm a traditionalist in that way. I'm all set to deal with what the 90s and the 80s were leading up to, and I'm not at all interested in what the 2010s brought along, and the 2020s definitely not. I just like chuck them in the bin and focus my eyes and my energy on, you know, how to use older technologies, how to fit into older systems of government, how to, well, yeah, I'd rather not fit into government at all, but that's part of my rejection of the change away from the first world to the reset to the second system, like new world order, new normal bullshit. And people can call me like outdated or an old fossil or someone from a past age if they like, but that's not their actual reality. That's just I lived in a better world. None of these younger gens knew it. They only knew how the world shouldn't have ever been, and that's what they grew up in. And I think they need to be reminded that this thing that they're living in isn't how the world should work, and isn't how the world was working, and everything was better before. And they unfortunately and sadly didn't know that time. But they should have, if the world wasn't fucked up for them by the people who fucked it up before they arrived. There's lots of them.
Thank you for watching.